Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's markets recap. I'm Chris with Elliot with Cafe. It is the 15th of February. Let's take a look at what happened this week and where the trends are. What Elliot Wave is telling us. We'll take a little bit of a look at Bitcoin and crypto and see where things are across the world. Pretty much, you could say that the markets have been acting pretty well. You're looking here at the major markets from a kind of a candle glance perspective here on stock charts, and you can see pretty bullish activity across the board from Europe 100, Euro 50, German DAX, France. World index without the US, emerging markets, China, Dow Jones Global Index, Nasdaq Composite, pretty much across the board, you can see pretty significant rallies and breakouts. Now, the U.S. markets, are still, have been in a sideways consolidation here for the past couple of months, since about the middle of December, but we seem to be coming probably towards the end of that corrective period, and from kind of what I'm seeing out there, we should break to the upside. If we break and then we fail and reverse, that's probably going to be a bad sign for the market. So it's very important not only to break, but to sustain any sort of a breakout. So looking at the nice C in here, pretty good volume. This is the first signal that the bulls are stepping in, came in about 5 weeks ago, right here, right in the beginning of mid of January, and since then, look at the volume that came in on this buy, and right now we're threatening to break to new all-time highs. You can see how the market is trying to form, kind of the beautiful cup and handle type of a structure where you have the big neckline here, and you can continue to break and go up like that. So it's a pattern I often watch and I like, and let's see if this one is going to pan out or not. S&P 500, it's sitting literally right there, almost closing. I think this week right here where my mouse is was a higher close than this particular week in here, but nonetheless, again, a beautiful signal that came in several weeks ago was right here, and look at the volume above average, and kind of how bulls stepped in and said, that's enough of that selling, and let's see if we can go. Now, in the meantime, you obviously had, a couple of scares, right? Every Friday, it seemed that we closed lower, then we gapped, and then the buyer stepped in throughout the day and tried to support prices. So it was a frustrating price section in here, and you kind of had to get in and out of several stocks and try again, and false starts, things like that. But that's the nature of the beast when you have consolidations like that. So nonetheless, a very strong close in here, and the expectation is that we will continue to go. Now, if we go and then reverse, and you have like almost something where the market breaks up, but then comes back and closes, something like that, right? That would be a bad sign, because then that could be followed by, let's say, a sell week like that, and then that means that you can actually begin a much larger correction. So we're watching for a strong close next week if we do manage to break out. So that's very important. Nasdaq Composite, same thing. Look at the volume that came in just on this particular week. So one of the biggest markets in the world here. It's coming very strongly, and it's literally just inches within making new all-time highs and breaking higher. So we're going to try to stay and respect that, because if you go and look at the bull bear sentiment indicator, and let me just kind of pull that up really quickly on my daily routine, and you'll see that people, a lot of investors, not everyone, but a lot of investors are bearish, and it's tough to be bearish. I don't think markets, top with bearishness at the highs, right? That's one indicator that doesn't really work at the highs, I think, because usually you have extreme bearishness when you're approaching the lows, but you have some levels that we haven't seen since, November 2023, when people were so bearish, right? And that was the end of that correction, and being bearish at the highs. I think this is just more related to these kind of tariff talks and the scare of economy falling into whatever recession or whatever. But I think a lot of people could be caught wrong-footed. We'll see what happens, but I just kind of want to show you this, and I talked about this into all my daily videos here in the Daily Drip, and all the updates that I do here. So going back to Nasdaq Composite, this looks good. Let's continue to go Dow Jones Industrial Average. This was a bit weaker. There's a lot more value in here, but it's still holding and doing nothing wrong. We'll see what happens there. And then IWM, frustrating market, continues to be a couple of days past week. I think even on Friday there was a lot more rally into these I could call them like lower rated stocks. They had a bit of an acceleration, but I like this. This signal right here where my mouse is, this kind of bullish engulfing. I think it's a strong one. I should respect it. I should give it a chance, benefit of the doubt, to see if it's going to work. Right? We pulled nicely into the 61.8. The expectation is, let's see if you can break higher and continue to something like that. If you break below these levels, we got a problem, and you got to get out. What else we got here? We got Bitcoin, which is, similar to last week's comments. It's not doing anything wrong, but it's not doing anything good either, I guess. We'll take a look at the wave count, and, quickly I'll go to the daily chart because you can see a bit more there what's going on. Let me pull it here. Bitcoin right here. So it had like multiple days, look right there, right, just holding the 9,500 level. And on Friday I told the guys in the chat, I'm like, I think we should start prepping for long Bitcoins, and it had a little bit of an attempt and it came back, but I think we're sitting on the verge of probably an upside breakout in Bitcoin. But the market has to prove that first, right? So it's hard to open positions here unless you want to get really small and then, obviously get out if it breaks below. But if it breaks higher, then that's a moment to start adding and be aggressive to see if we can get back towards 105, maybe even push towards 110. Definitely out of this, 1 second. So yeah, definitely out of this very tight consolidation, we're probably going to get some nice strong moves. We'll see the direction. I hope it's upwards, but I just kind of wanted to show you this. So kind of going back to the weekly, right? It's not doing anything wrong. It's just kind of consolidating. We'll take a look at the wave count, probably a fourth wave or the build of a second, but the trend remains up. It's tough to say, yeah, this is a top in Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't think so. Let's continue and see. The dollar lost some luster here, came back. That should be helpful for risk assets, so that's good. Couple of bearish closings. Even the yields starting to retreat a little bit. Gold did a number, I think, this Friday along with silver. So this reversal in gold, it's a little bit problematic. I would see what happens into next week, but this candle here almost looks like, and it kind of happened on a bigger volume. So, nothing wrong in terms of trend, but, just the price action with the close near the lows here, it's throwing some caution signs here. So, if I would be long, I would at least take some profits based on this behavior. All right, I think I'm done with this. I'm back in the beginning, so let's go take a look at the wave counts here and see how they look. We'll start with the Nasdaq Composite, and the weekly and the couple of week chart here. It's just I think it's just kind of beautiful. You're in a nice bull market. You're in an uptrend. It's I can't argue with the fact that it's going from the lower left to the upper right. I think we're still working to do a wave one. After this breakout, probably going to push up there. And then eventually we'll start somewhat of a little bit of a deeper wave two, maybe at some point this year. But if you look at the smaller time frames on the daily, you got this one, you got a nice ABC here. You're not fully really out of the woods in terms of not being a triangle until you really break above 20,118. Because it could be an A, B, C, D, E here, and still kind of go sideways before it really breaks up. So, the count that I have here is a bit more bullish because it's got a 1 and a 2, another 1 and another 2 here, right? Because if you decompose this wave 3 as an impulse, then you will have automatically a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then another 4 and another 5. So I'm going to stay with this, just because it's a bit more aggressive, and I like that. Ideally, you're probably going to try to get towards, this kind of 21,000 there. So that's NASDAQ Composite. Then you take a look at Russell. It's kind of in the same neighborhood. We've had that as a second wave, and then, again, this pullback here was a 61.8. Right there about 22.20. So from here, ideally, you would want to see a turn and a push back, at least towards 2400. And then once you surpass that, then we can continue to go to 2498, then 2613. Just kind of reverse fibs of this whole retracement. But that's kind of what I'm shooting for at a 1 and a 2, and then see if we can go. If you start to lose, again, these levels here and move lower, we got problems. So that's Russell. S&P, I showed this last week as well, has a little bit of a somewhat different structure than NASDAQ Composite, but still, longer term. Let's pull up the chart. Just nice trend consolidation, kind of sideways a little bit in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towards the top of the channel. Surpassing 6,500, maybe even push towards 7,000 this year at some point. Hopefully, we'll see. It's a bit aggressive, but that wouldn't be the end of it, because then you would still have to get some kind of a fourth wave and then another 5, and so if you look at this whole move could take, this whole year, right? This impulse with some correction and maybe one more push, and then these are all projections. None of this has to work. Remember, right? We're here kind of looking at the market every day and see how it reacts. And I'm not bound. I'm not bound whatsoever by any of these wave counts. I reserve the right to change this in a very, very quickly and adapt myself to what the market is telling me. The worst thing you can do with Elliott wave is to be stubborn in the wave count and not listen to the market and think, oh no, it's got to work because it's got 3 waves or it's got 5 waves. Nothing has to work the way we think. Absolutely nothing. The market is kind of the ultimate judge, and it's always right. And if you don't adapt and try to listen to it and move, there's some painful lessons there. So again, I see it a lot, in Elliott wave community here that people try to stake and defend their wave counts and this and that and the other. And I stopped doing that, many months, and if not, probably years ago. So this is not, it's just a roadmap, simple like any other, method of analyzing the markets. You have to adapt. So that's it in terms of, I think, looking at the indices. But let's take a look also at Bitcoin and see how that looks. And on this one, again, nothing has changed. So don't, I have no big surprises for you here in terms of the wave count. If you've seen my videos before, if not, if you're new, we're looking at the potential probably wave 5 top that hasn't proven yet. Or a wave 5 that's still in progress as part of this larger wave 3, in another 1 and a 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the idea is to try to get the markets towards 150,000. This is probably going to take, at least a couple of years. I don't think the market would be that strong to move to 250 in a few months. But it's a work in progress. There's several scenarios in here. If the wave 5 is done, then you're going to get a bigger, setback. If, this is a fourth wave, this wave 1, there might be going up there, right? If we're still working it out. And then you push down in a wave 2. So there are several ways. We're not going to know exactly which one it is, until after it happens. But, at least, there's some kind of an attempt to, see what options are here and kind of, what makes the most sense. Clearly you have a third wave here. What if that's a third, this push here could be a wave 5 and we're, kind of working a wave 2. So I couldn't tell you for sure where we are exactly, right? But what I do know is I do know the levels that I want to get involved in, just like I showed you before on those daily charts. If it breaks above those moving averages and start to get buying, right, then I'm going to get aggressive and start buying Bitcoin. And then the wave count, it's the wave count. We'll see how that reacts. And we'll just have to point it after it happens. if it breaks lower, then we do know that probably this second wave will be underway, and then there's no point buying it, right? You're just kind of wait on the sidelines and just wait until that ends. So I don't know how else to put it, but I'm staying flexible. I haven't really modified this wave count much. My targets are still, kind of towards those levels. I mean, with some intermediary ones here towards about 130. I think that's still, from some of the projections I've done, I think that's still a fairly decent target there. And then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. So basically, I'm still pretty bullish. We're quite long, 80, 90%, sometimes 100, maybe going a bit on margin, then pulling back a little bit. I buy several stocks throughout the day. Sometimes I sell. Sometimes I hold them for a couple of days just in small swing trades. I got some, position trades like Kava, right, from last year in the summer. So there's things that we go in and out kind of all the time. Best place to find me, it's up here. There's also an area where, of course, I haven't promoted this one in like years. I've done it like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. If not, it's still the same course. It's really nice. It's, everything here is cheap. So whatever, you guys can come and check us out on Elevate Cafe. So thanks for watching. I will talk to you next week. Bye.